is, this is the elephant room, all right? And you've decided that the elephant room is a bad idea, all right? Bad idea. You've made your determination. Your discernment says this is a bad idea. I would not do this. I don't think other people should do it. But there are some people that you know and love and maybe live with who either are going to be speaking at it or they like the idea. Okay? I know what I've done with this. Phil, what? Okay, I like the elephant room conference.
Yeah, I like you, Todd. And I'm not going to break fellowship with you over that. But you're not going to hear the end of it from me. I'm going to continue to try to persuade you that the elephant room's a bad idea.
Am I the same as the elephant room people?
No.
Do I believe everything that the elephant room people believe?
No.
Okay. So this gets into another fundamentalist issue, which is hyper-separationism.
Right.
We want to be careful that we don't fall into the same error that they fell into, which is anybody who maybe disagrees with me.
And that's what I meant. I can dislike the elephant room without disliking you for liking it.
Right.
But the fact that I like you doesn't mean I have to shut up and stop trying to persuade you that this is a bad idea and your thinking on it is all wrong.
And this is not a joke. This is exceedingly practical. And we could cite many examples off the top of our head because this is an observable fact about hyper-separationism. Okay, bad. You've determined bad. I like it, therefore now I am bad. Phil likes me, now Phil is bad. John MacArthur likes Phil, so John MacArthur is now bad. Anybody that you meet who listens to John MacArthur, who likes Phil Johnson, who likes Todd, who likes the elephant room, they're all bad. And in about 10 years, we will all have a wonderful church of one.
You know, with Twitter, it probably won't even take 10 years.
Yeah, that's very true.
Might happen in 3.
That is hyper-separationism. And this is a hard one for those of us who are kind of bullheaded. I'm right in the camp, and we like it clear and we like it clean. But this is a true mark of Christian maturity to discern the difference of issues. What is this decision to do this? Now, if I then say, oh, by the way, and there's another thing, Phil. And I agree with T.D. Jakes, and I like modalism too. Does that change the picture?
Yeah.
Suddenly.
Yeah, it sure does.
Now, wait a second. Now, that's different than saying, I like this idea of inviting a modalist to a conference to figure it out. Do you hear the big difference? Think about how this plays out in your life and in your church, because it most certainly does. Or people that you listen to or follow or read, the pastor who quotes N.T. Wright. And you go, what? The pastor quoted N.T. Wright. N.T. Wright with the new perspectives. He's terrible. Therefore, now the pastor is terrible. Anybody who goes to that church is terrible. And you leave. That's how quickly it can happen. Because the pastor quoted N.T. Wright, you don't know where he stands with N.T. Wright. You just don't know, okay? And let's just say that his new perspective is kind of a difficult thing anyway. It's kind of a hash and mash and trash. It's almost like the federal vision. It's all complicated and messy. And the guy goes, well, you know, I'm not exactly sure. This guy is not embracing something that is heretical. This guy does not get connected with the person that he simply doesn't throw out the back door. This separation issue is huge. Dude, you and I were talking about, I'm kind of thinking about us right now in the conversation that we had a little bit. We're kind of going through one of those right now. By saying something or even liking somebody who's made a different decision, not a theological position, a different decision than you, doesn't make the whole chain fall down for you. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to add a thing to that?
No, other than that is I would say the very thing that concerns me, I think, the most about these amateur discernment experts that you find on the internet, and despite the impression I may have given earlier, they're not all women. I'll give you the example of one guy I know who got into what he considered to be a discernment ministry. He was an independently wealthy guy, and so he didn't have to work, and so he spent his entire time critiquing Christian movements and churches, and he just became, irreparably narrow and negative. And it got to the point, within 2 years after he started doing this, he wasn't going to church at all because he couldn't find a church where he could agree with everything. And if he couldn't agree with everything, then he didn't agree with anything. And you know, that's the direction it goes. He decided early on that all truth is of equal import. There's no such thing as a secondary truth.
Right.
There's no such thing as a non-essential truth. But if it's taught in Scripture, it's essential, and therefore, if this is what I think Scripture teaches, and you don't think that, then I can't fellowship with you. And obviously, I think, it's obvious to me that if you start with a philosophy like that, it's going to be very shortly, you won't be able to fellowship with anyone unless it's somebody who's so servile that they just take your word for everything and agree with you on everything. And who wants friends like that?
Yeah.
So, and I've seen that happen in more than one instance. It's a very dangerous thing. And if you look at the fundamentalist movement as a whole, from the 1950s on, the fundamentalists, those who self-identified as fundamentalists, began to fragment and turn against one another, and because they considered their willingness to separate from heresy a kind of badge of honor, they figured the more people they separated from, the more honorable they were, and they began to separate from each other. And that movement is so fragmented that today it's pretty hard even to identify the remnants of it. But it's broken up into many fragments, and most of them are bad.
This I hope will be helpful for you.